All right. Hello, it is Monday, July 11th, and we are here for a Buildings and Utilities Committee. I am Mrs. Marshall, Chair of the committee. This is Mr. Twist. Mr. Wiggin could not be with us tonight. So we are here to propose, we have two things on our agenda tonight. The first one for us is to provide a recommendation to council regarding authorization, to the Director of Public Service and Safety to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the Kidder Ditch improvement at a total cost not to exceed $810,000. Buildings and Utilities only has one issue.
One issue, yes. Thank you, ma'am. So several years ago, we completed a long-range master plan for the stormwater system. The Kidder Ditch was identified as the #1 issue and priority. So for the past couple of years, we've had a contractor or a consultant strand doing some design work. They analyzed and did the design work leading up to a recommendation to do various improvements along the Kidder Ditch, which runs, I guess it's on the north side of town, north of the river, basically from Deweese Road down to Staunton Road is where the Kidder Ditch goes. And so the kind of improvements that they are recommending, some minor realignment, some excavation of some of the ditch to make it a little deeper in some areas. We do need to improve some of the slopes, remove the vegetation out of there. Under the Maple Crest Bridge, we need to do some excavation and put a concrete base that is a pinch point, and we do get some congestion in that area. The overall project is estimated not to exceed $810,000. That would all come out of the Stormwater Fund. The 2022 budget included $482,000. In the long-range plan and in the capital plan early on anyway, we had $300,000 over 2 or 3 years, each of 3 years, to account for some possible work at Kidder Ditch. It was very preliminary, very early on, so we are now ready to go out to bid and need your authorization. We are not asking for emergency legislation.
But it is something that should be done.
We do need to do it. It's quickly. The #1 priority of the stormwater. It is a major ditch in the system, and it is regional in nature.
Are there any signs over there for people to not throw waste in there, like their branches, grass, leaves, that sort of thing? Because I'm assuming that could cause. There
are not, however, staff does go periodically through, because those are the ditch is basically in the backyards.
It is.
And so to put signage in the backyards isn't realistic.
I'm just wondering if people know.
We do tell. We have told them in the past. We do tell them and remind them that they can't do that when we see it.
Okay. All right. That was a question for you.
I can't remember a couple years ago, but we assumed there was only going to be a smaller portion. This seems to be a longer portion than what we discussed previously, or is it about the same, just more work needing to be done?
You know, we weren't at that point sure what kind of length we were talking about. I think one of the options that we thought might happen is we may have had to do some more intensive work in a smaller section. And so in this, after the analysis, after they did all of the geotechnical and all the other work that they did, they found that there's miscellaneous all along, and there's different type of work depending on which area they're in.
Oh.
And the cost, the difference in the cost is just based on what everything is being based off on, lack of materials and work, that sort of thing? Are they?
Those are current estimates, so try to take inflation as well as the supply
Okay.
chain issues, which are starting to appear, they tell us, lessen a little bit. So we're relatively confident in these
Okay.
numbers. We will need a reappropriation later on in the year, and this work can be done in lieu of doing other miscellaneous work next year, so we'll manage the costs.
Okay. All right. Do any other council members have any questions? Any others? Go ahead.
And Jeff Schilling, and this will, Mr. Chairman, this will relieve some of the flooding that some of the Little John and some of the other streets in that area. I mean,
You're talking about Finsbury, that area?
yeah, the Finsbury knows that area.
I mean, everything will help, and it'll take the water away. That's upstream on the Kidder Ditch. And so, just to remind you, we participated in the oversizing of a detention basin that is part of the Halifax Villas project, the community center. That work has been completed, and we've already seen quite a bit of relief.
Okay.
And so we don't get the flooding, or we haven't, knock on wood, gotten the flooding on Finsbury since we did that. And that's been several months, if not a year, since that's been done.
Okay, because when I first came into council, people were floating canoes out there on Finsbury.
Yes, they were, and they were taking video, and yes, they were.
Yeah.
But we've been monitoring that since the work was done by the contractor, and it looks like that's
Been settled.
it's helped a
Okay.
great deal.
Appreciate that, thank you.
All right. Do we have any other questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, how would you like to?
Move forward.
All right. So we will move forward. If that is it, this meeting is adjourned.